our first panel discussion with Mr. Stephen Walker. He is the lead analyst, thematic and fintech research at Global Data. We also have with us Mr. Arivuvel Ramu, CTO of Tonic Bank, and of course, Ms. Malin Tayag, Vice President and Chief Information Security Officer at EPLDT. Send us your questions, delegates, and we will try and get to it. Back, of course, to Ramu. We were picking up this question from the floor. How did PLDT as a partner provider help you achieve your mission in Tonic?
Perfect. Good afternoon, all. As you know, Tonic being the first Southeast Asian privately owned neobank, I can put it this way, we built a complete retail neobank, complete virtual, and it's running over multi-cloud. You can say bank born in a cloud. It launched in November 2020 in Philippines. Having said that, the key pain point for developing countries and serving financial inclusion customer segment is the three key aspects: the connectivity, the reachability, and the behavioral data to serve them better. And it's integral part of any digital customer acquisition and servicing. And as a partner, PLDT helping us as a telco and providing the backbone, telco connectivity backbone to serve our customers, reaching out to even the people who living in, even the small corner of the, Philippines island, we can able to reach out to them. That's one of the huge partnership. Second, getting the alternate credit scoring from the behavioral telco data, which is amazing. So these two big things, really putting Philippines for helping the financial inclusions and serving them better. PLDT play a crucial role working with, with Tonic. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Ramu. Malin, I think you can add to that because he did mention how PLDT has helped them reach out into far-flung areas that didn't have these, financial institutions before. Do financial institutions need physical branches in this day and age?
Danny, if you look at COVID-19's legacy to the financial system, I think it is that it has made us question the need for cash, right? Well, because when a potentially deadly disease is spreading, we're wary of exchanging bills, right? Reaching for a change or entering our PIN on an ATM touchpad. Now, while the chances of getting virus from cash may be small, it's also not zero, right? And prudence, of course, dictates that we avoid contact. Now, concerns around the banknote contamination made contactless payments, digital banking transaction increase, which interestingly spurred, governments worldwide to fast track the plans towards introducing digital currencies. Now, we know, and we said that financial services were, traditionally built on physical distribution model, which is branches. But now, with the ubiquity of smartphones and having connectivity as our new electricity, we've started rethinking our relationship with cash, right? And the need to go out there to the branch and the method of delivering value to meet our needs. For me, digital banking and mobile payment technology solve the problem for ordinary people of having to go to the bank, having to line up, having to go and bear, through the long queue just to complete your deposit, your mortgage payments, right? And in rural areas where there are no banks because of its, remoteness, this technologies prove to be a blessing. So we're nearly reaching a tipping point where transaction engines are almost in the hands of every person, and this, capability allows the phone to make, take payments become a point of sale. And I think this innovation is most, beneficial for small merchants. And here in the Philippines, where you have sari-sari stores almost in every street, you can imagine, the potential reach of this technology and how it can revolutionize the exchange of goods for money, for ordinary citizens. So going to your question, do we still need branches? Yes, I'd say yes, but the role of the branches will evolve. The nature will shift from transactional to self-service hubs, and it has started to happen, to maybe financial lifestyle advisories. There are different segments in the market and perspectives and level of adoption of technology. So some customers would want it all digital, especially for the younger generation. Some are like our elderlies would want it, all face to face. So who needs branches? Well, people who probably want to feel that there's a physical space to see where their money is going, right? People who may not have been introduced to the digital alternatives, but more and more the branch will provide a physical point of interaction that more acts like a security blanket, a channel to build a sense of community and loyalty around the brand.
Thank you for that. So there will still be branches, but very, very different types of services there and very different types of functions. Still on the topic, I have a question here. Back to Stephen of Global Data. In terms of time to market, at the height of the crisis, which banks do you think did best in rolling out chatbots and why? I think you're on mute. Stephen, can you come off of mute, please?
Sorry, yeah. I think the extraordinary operational demands of the crisis forced banks to work in faster, different ways. So security processes that were typically at the end of a development cycle, I think we saw digital teams and design teams work side by side. We saw real-time testing for security and controls. I think on chatbots, some of the best stuff is actually from incumbent banks in the US, not just rolling out chatbots for those simple tasks, but we saw, for example, Bank of America actioning 250,000 mortgage and payment holidays through the chatbots, which really helped relieve the enormous increase in volumes in call centers.
Okay, amazing. So it's not just limited to the small repetitive functions. The chatbots are actually becoming much more complex here. This is a question for Ramu. Back to you. What are your thoughts on open banking and open finance?
Yeah, thank you. So if you look at it, BSP recently published a framework for open banking and open finance, part of Q2 2021. And most of all of bank must follow Q2 2022. We have to be ready to support it as per guideline today. And we are part of the pilot program today. When it coming to the open banking, so three key pillars. One is open APIs and following standards, and provide consent management to ensure customer giving consent to access and share the data to other platforms. And third one is collaboration, which is ecosystem partnership, where I'm explaining all this, how collaboration between telco, a fintech like wallet provider, payment provider, payroll and digital lenders and banks, all different segments, including retail and supply chain, can work together, move the money fast. Example, in a retail world, how I can quickly underwrite a specific loan customer. If you have a bank account in BPI and BDO for last 10 years, and when you're coming to Tonic, will I able to access your transaction history and understand your wealth, to assess your repaying pattern. Then if you look at it, another area where I have a money in different accounts, can I see a single account aggregated fashion in a single view? So we call it as a account aggregation. Then looking at overall my spending and the saving behavior, or if you are in e-commerce world, how I can quickly connect with a different financial institution and the e-commerce platform together and move your money easily. So the seamless payments can work along with the local payment rails. You can provide the innovation in the transactions. This all happen only when there is ecosystem partnership and seamless integration between the data, mainly the data flow between different organizations. So this is where the open banking, open finance pushes, and which Europe world solved most of the problem, but Asia we just started beginning to touch that tip of the iceberg. And I believe Philippines, we are ahead in the game in Asia, and by 2022 most of us, we can start able to exchange our data and from bank to fintechs.
Okay, so seamless integration there, that's what you mean when you think of those two thoughts. And finally, I think we have time for one last question. This one for Ms. Malen. Looking into the importance of innovation, as was mentioned by Ramu, how will blockchain and artificial intelligence revolutionize the cybersecurity arena?
We're all familiar with the globally accepted, application of blockchain or the distributed ledger of technology, which is cryptocurrency, right? But apart from that, blockchain or DLT can actually help transform the cybersecurity industry through many applications on various use cases. So a good example would be on asset provenance, to prove where an asset was created or manufactured, which provides data veracity or non-repudiation. Another is identity management and authentication. The advent of IoT will drive the need to handle, micro transactions by the trillions. And our current centralized mechanisms for establishing trust, identity will not serve this revolution. So distributed ledger technology will address this gap. Another good use case is which we start looking into is secure DNS. The DNS, or the domain name system, is pretty much the phone book of the internet, right? We know the domain, the facebook.com, but we don't know the IP behind it. Mm-hmm. So DNS keeps the record and translates the IP address for us. So it's a mission critical internet infrastructure. It is hierarchical in terms of architecture. It remains to be vulnerable, and that is why it's often used as an attack vector. So when a DNS record is altered to redirect the traffic to, an attacker's server, the redirection allows a criminal to actually execute its objective. So blockchain can actually transform that and overcome these challenges, by having distributed, signed, and verified DNS records. Now, these are the good use cases, Danny. And for a DLT to be useful, we have 5 critical elements that we need to consider. That's distribution, encryption, immutability cannot be changed, tokenization and the exchange of information and value, and of course, decentralization. Now, these are the benefits, but unfortunately, the use of these advanced technology in cybersecurity and beyond. But we're also, seeing developments that are not really necessarily positive, right? So case in point is the use of cryptocurrency. We're seeing a growing number of ransomware attacks, and it's a malicious software that actually holds your information ransom with the use of encryption until a sum of money, which is usually cryptocurrency, is paid. And it has become a trading, payment go-to mode of cyber criminals in the darknet. So for the advent supporters of the technology, I think blockchain, definitely, they'll say it's a goose that lays the golden eggs. They would vehemently argue with you that criminals will always find ways to connect and execute their illegal transactions, and they are true. That's correct. And blaming the blockchain technology for facilitating illegal transactions would be foolish. Now, that's blockchain. AI has many use cases, but definitely it's revolutionizing the defense against cyber attacks. The Security Operations Center runs 24/7, and these are our eyes, right? But this group is faced with unprecedented volume, veracity, and variety of event logs, which make it humanly impossible to find the proverbial needle in the haystack, or, in cybersecurity speak, finding that one valid critical incident by sifting through millions of events. So employing AI and machine learning makes sense, and it's a matter of practicality because it helps discover and analyze the growing landscape for attacks, as well as improve, the ability to predict and protect your assets. It provides very good cover to, address gaps in capacity and in capability. So it's very important because it allows predictive assessments of risks and helps, prioritize the necessary steps to avoid those breaches long before it gets into your environment.
All right, thank you for that answer. I think that was very interesting what you said about blockchain. The same things that are supposed to protect us are also being used, at least the technology is being used and evolved when there's cybersecurity threats as well. So thank you so much. That's all the time we have now. That was, of course, Mr. Stephen Walker, Mr. Ramu of Tonic Bank, and Ms. Malen Tayag of PLDT. Thank you so much.